just getting set up here. Fan of these 8-bit ones. if it's loading that background window for you guys. Huh. Or at least I don't see it on my preview. There it is. Okay, I guess it's there. Just doing another update here. Okay. So we are setting up Node.JS for a RESTful Web API. And I've got a tutorial that I'm following online here. And just gonna walk through, make tweaks to it where I know I want things to change. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, database table, not super needed here. I've set up the folder. Okay. So here, inside this folder, we're gonna do npm init yes. That should be setting up the node package manager, like package.json, getting all of those package manager type stuff set up. Go user join data. Test specified. There's a get URLs, bugs. Okay, cool. So we're good there. Alright, so now we're going to add some packages to it. So npm install express, which is the web server. There, we got that now. Npm install MySQL, which is a client for connecting to MySQL with JavaScript. Which I'm not familiar with that client, so that's one of the things we'll be learning with this. And npm install body parser. Okay. And let's just make sure that our JSON file looks the way we want. So we've got body parser in there, we've got Express in there, and we've got MySQL in there. Good. Okay, the rest of that is kind of all just some random bits there. We can ignore all of that. Okay, so now we're going to create the Express server. So we need to create Alright, we'll go ahead and do it. We may be bundling all of this into a Docker container later, so some of this file structure and folder structure may change. Server.js. Alright, so in here we want to do a constant express. Don't know why we're pulling that up. Alright. Express, okay. There you go. A body parser. Which will be alright, so that's the body parser is new to me also. App.use body parser dot JSON. Cool. Dot use body parser dot URL encoded. Okay. Oh, this takes a list of parameters. So we're going to put extended true in here. Did I not get enough parents? Yeah, I didn't. Okay, now we're going to set up our routes. So these will be the end of the URL that is passed by the application to get to different data elements. So looks like it's app.get just slash, so this will be our default route, and to that we're going to kick it a function taking requests and response. Interesting. Okay, so in the tutorial here, they want us to return send error true, but then message hello. But I don't feel like hello message is an error state. So I don't know why they wanted that. I'm going to add an additional note here. App.listen on 8080. We're going to do console.log. Node app is Okay. So here we are. So node. Weird. Okay. Node server.js. Ooh. Okay, so we can't use that port because something else in my machine is using that port. That's okay though. We're going to use a different port anyway. We're actually going to use 4200. That's what we would expect to see. Okay, now let's just host 4200. Okay, so there we go. This is the response that we get back. JSON response, an error element that's got the value of true, and a message element that's got a value of hello. So that's what we would expect to see based on what we've done. Cool, cruising right along. Yes, blah, blah, blah. Update your server JS. Alright. This song's a little weird. There we go. Okay, so now it looks like we're creating the MySQL connection. One of the things that's not covered in this tutorial, which I'm going to look into right now, is configuring environment-specific variables. So in a true environment, you would want a development setup, a staging or a test setup, and a production setup. And the tutorial just says, here, put these values in. But the reality is you're going to have different values for each of those environments, and you don't want a separate code base for each environment. It needs to be one code base with different values, and the code intelligent enough to know which environment it's running on. Okay. Looks like we're going to do that. So let's do that here. Config.js. Oh, I just learned that that's the handlebar extension. Okay. Cool. Alright, so this module.exports. We're going to export a function. Which will have a switch in it. So this is the intelligent part that figures out what environment it should load values for. Whoops. Alright, case Okay, Hue of Purple. Thanks for watching. So, in the case of dev, we want to return DB user, some value there, DB pass, some value there, DB host, some value there, and then the actual the database within that we're going to be connecting to. We're gonna set it up for a 3-tier environment, but we probably won't actually get there. We'll probably just use 2-tier environment, but we're gonna do this now. We're actually gonna swap these around because prod dev, this is going to be our default case as well. So just that in the case that something explodes, we don't want to try and be sending out production credentials. We're going to try and send out dev credentials. So we'll set up these values at a later time, probably, off camera. But now in here, what we should be able to do is we should be able to grab actually, we could even make that part of the config as to which port it loads, which would be very handy. But let's see what they're doing here. And then conf equals new config. Now if we do this, I was hoping we'd get some syntax highlight on that, but it could be because I'm not loading it correctly. But let's try it out here. So we'll do conf dot db name. unfortunately for this, we have to actually restart the service, and we have to pass it something new here. Node env, whoops, our equals dev node server.js. Oh. Oh. Okay. It's a Windows thing. Node env equals dev node server.js. Additional parameter cannot be found that accepts server.js. Yeah, so this is why I'm used to Docker containers, because alright, let's reload and see what we get. So we loaded that, we ran this, we get environment A. There's prod, there's test, there's dev. It's also our default case though. So let's change this to 5. And when we reload, we still get A. I wonder if we need to actually bounce this. And there's 5. Okay. Alright, so let's fire up the database. Alright, so here is our data. I think I'm going to make a quick little adjustment to this. Whoa. Nope. I'm going to set up another set of database credentials that I'm going to use for this video. And after this video, those credentials will get thrown away, if my browser wants to cooperate here. Okay. new username. I know what it is. I've got a tab open that unfortunately is the tab for this tutorial, and it is constantly loading advertisements, and it's just bogging down my browser with its filth. So I'm gonna need to murder that, I guess. So let's murder that. Okay. Hopefully all of its memory leaking ad code dies with it, and we can get back to doing something productive here. Alright, we're running much better now. No, we're not. Node, there we go. Did we load yet? Nope. Come on. You can go faster than this. I know you can. I'm almost wondering if I've got a memory leak somewhere else. Let's take a look. Yeah, it should not. See, Firefox should not be using up 11 megs. Yeah, that's just. Or 11,000 megs, I should say. Like, no. No web browser needs gigs of memory. Like, Chrome's not even doing that. It's close, but it's not that high. Alright. I think I'm gonna have to kill this instance. That's unfortunate. Websites like that need to be taken off the internet. Alright, let's kill Firefox with a vengeance. There we go. And now we are running much better. Yeah, my streaming software wasn't even taking up the amount of memory that Firefox was trying to use. let's get this set up. Moving much faster on Chrome over here. This to that database. Give them some privileges. Okay, fantastic. So, I made it really hard to guess. It's Node.js. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And we're going to add a new one up here. This is going to be environment, and this is going to say dev. So actually, we'll do human readable names on these. And the reason for that is because back here in our response, we're actually going to return that. Okay. Just pulling up the tutorial again. Here it is. Okay. Node RESTful project. Yep, we did that. Package JSON, we did that. Okay, Express server. Alright, database connection. So now we've got those values in a config file. And we're going to stop our server. Run it again. And what we should see, we're going to do another window here. What we should see now is, there we go. So our expected new variable there and the JSON output. Perfect. Okay, so now we need to set up our database connection. So, curious why they call this MC. We'll find out in a moment. Oh, it's the MySQL connection. Okay. So then we do MySQL create connection. And here we go. Host is going to be conf.dbHost. User is going to be conf.dbUser. You see where this is going, right? Password is going to be conf.db. I think I called it pass. I'll go check that in a second. Yeah. And it helps if I spell it right. And database is conf.db name. After we define it, then we need to actually connect to it. So MC connect. I'm wondering if it would it automatically do. Man, I don't know. I don't want it to leave a connection polling out there on this on the database server. Maybe we'll learn how to turn that off. Okay. Now that we have an Express server set up and running with database connection, we need to manage to-dos in the database. Okay, so wow, this is an interesting take on this. Alright, so the default route, we're going to do an mc.query. Select star from. Now instead of their tutorial thing, we're going to use our data set for the game. Okay. So there's been 5 towns created in the game itself. So we'll do... Yeah, okay, we'll do a query to return those towns. So that's the data set that we're going to pull back. Okay, so from map_towns, where active equals yes, Okay. So then it goes to a function which takes error results, or provides, I should say, fields. And then if we get an error, throw that error. Otherwise, let's grab a return statement here. We're going to return that send error false. Data will be our results. That's very interesting shorthand. Okay, and this is to put a message in here. Obviously this is optional, but we'll put one anyway. Towns available. And then we know we want to put our environment variable in there. So we'll save that. And then when we go to load our default route, we still get that. Reference error, MySQL is not defined. 1512. Did I read this wrong? Oh. That's correct. Let's add a const. MySQL equals require MySQL. Okay, now we should be able to run that. Or not. Okay, access denied for user. Password, yes. Okay. So I know what's going on there. Sequence into error packet. It should be. Let me just double check this with the connection manager. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to learn something really cool now, because what we actually need to configure is an SSH tunnel, because that MySQL server is not responding to requests from the internet for security reasons. SSH tunnel, how to. Cool. Alright, so we actually need another package. npm install mysql-ssh. So what this package is going to do is it will allow us to create an SSH connection to the server. and then over that SSH connection, we can then access all of the elements on that server as if we were there on the server. So it's a more encrypted way of connecting to the server than just an open port for the database. Okay, so MySQL-SSH require MySQL-SSH. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and this is capable of supporting RSA key files, which would be the ideal way of doing this, but for the sake of brevity, since that isn't currently configured on that server, we're going to do some other stuff over here in this config file real quick. So, hold please. So it looks like this package actually entirely replaces that MySQL package. And what we're going to do now is we're going to set that up so that it will use that. MC. Okay, so this equals goodbye. MySQL SSH dot connect. And now it takes, yeah, so the SSH config. So yeah, it's the conf dot my SQL SSH config. But then this is also asking for that, so yeah. We could have left that. Oh well. Conf.db host, and then user conf.db user password is conf.db pass, and database is conf.db name. Okay, so that puts all of that in there. I'm curious though, if this SSH tunnel is actually going to work without an RSA key. We'll see. Connect is not a function, but it shows it being a function right there. Oh. Still getting an error. Okay. Oh. I don't think I updated this. But no, it should be okay. It may be that the database config. Yeah, I think I need to update this to localhost. And then, let's see, that's already killed, so we'll restart the server. Still getting access denied for localhost. Well, let's see if it's allowed from localhost. Password's right. Game server, yup. Okay, let's give it a shot from that. I wonder if that might be it. Alright, before I go through all that, let's try this one thing different here. This guy, start it. No, still denied. That's interesting. Okay. Just because it's a new account and we've not connected with it before, set it up this way and make sure that we've got like all of the credentials correct and it is actually allowing a connection in that way. Yeah, so it's failing too. Access denied for Node.js. Alright, let's change the password here because I'm pretty sure that that's what I've got wrong. No. All right. Okay. I've done this a dozen times. There must be a step that I forgot. Oh, wait. I gotta see what I did wrong on my local machine here. RR. Yep, okay. Let's see if I made that same mistake. Yep, okay. That was my bad. I missed a proper naming convention for the actual database username. Running on 4200 with no errors, okay. So now when we go here, we get an error. Alright. query. Alright, inspect. Did we get any errors? Let's try this again. Alright, no console errors. MySQL.connect. Pass it that first config. Then we pass it the database config. Yep. Alright, we'll try it their way. I'm going to change up a little bit more of this config just to make it easier to use, which will really just be putting all of those database elements into an object. So that we can do a much simpler approach to this. Okay. So I'll put all those into an object that I've named dbconfig now. And the tutorial for this SSH is to not store the output into a variable or a constant, but instead, after that, use a then, and within it, we do this becomes client.query. Okay, so we're going to select star from map towns where active equals yes. Get all of those elements in our function. If we have an error, throw the error. And the thing that they're saying with this, which I am a big fan of, is they come down here at the end and they say mysql.ssh close. So that will close any open connection on the MySQL server. But it won't execute if I put it after that return, so results. Yeah, I guess we do a close. first, but then if we... Yeah, I don't know. This is a little different than what I'm used to. But that's why I'm here trying to learn it. Okay, error this. Console.log error. Oh, okay, well. We changed it up a little bit. Their tutorial on this one has ERR. We're going to use error as the word itself. Keep everything consistent that way. Now down here we say if we have an error, throw the error, which is what they have as well, so we're okay there. They console log the results. We may have to do something else, I don't know. But let's see what happens. Run the server. Didn't immediately crash, that's good. Site can't be reached. Alright, when I broke it good. Let's see what this says. Access denied for user Bleck at localhost. Did we lose our... Access denied for user blank at localhost. Okay, so it didn't like something about the way I've changed the config. So let me take a look at that real quick. Oh, yes, okay. Yep, that's true. It is expecting its names, and I'm using my names. Host, user, password, and database. We're gonna tidy these up while I'm in here. Okay, so now we've got this here. We're going to, let's see, that's already stopped. Let's fire it up again. Should be good to go. And there we are. Let's see if we can get an extension to help us out with that. Chrome Web Store. Pretty JSON. Let's take a look at this guy. What are we listening to? Because that high-pitched squeal is not cool. There we go. Okay, let's do that. JSON formatter. Here, we pop this guy. We reload. There we go. So, again, nothing in the output changed. That was just, this is a extension of the browser now that's putting the tabs and spacing in so it's a little easier for us to read. go. So that is all that's required to set up a Node.js application, connect it to a database, and have it spitting out data. So we've got that under control. Now let's go back to our tutorial here. Let's see. Create a new route so the user hits to return a to-do in JSON format. Okay, so let's say we want to get the details of just a specific town. And to follow that in RESTful standards, we're going to do another get, but this time it'll be to /town /:ID. And with that, we then do the same as above, right? We have our function that provides a request and a response. Okay, so we're gonna let town map map town ID equal request dot params dot ID. If we don't have a map town ID, then we're going to return an error code. Status 400.send. And then here we're going to do that same structure as above, where we say error false. No, sorry, this is an error true. Yeah. Message town ID not provided. And we're going to put in here our environment variable. And that's all for that. And then down here, if we didn't return from the above because we didn't have the map ID, then down in this area, we're actually going to do all of this again. Okay, yep, we're setting up a new connection. We go through all of this. And here we go. Okay, great. Okay, so this is using a like a prepared query syntax. So we're going to leave the active that. We're going to say, well, actually, no. We don't check active flags if we get a specific ID. So we'll say map towns ID equals question mark. Okay, then we pass it map town ID, and then we have our function that actually runs the query. Then we close the connection, we return what's expected. So let's grab one of these here. Cambria, Long Island, Tatum sounds good. And it is ID 11. So we'll grab this guy, open a new tab here, and we're gonna do /town/11. Cannot get /town/11. Okay. Alright, let's see if we might need to bounce the so he's back up and running, and now we run this, and there we go, just our data for town 11. Perfect. We can do searches. So that's really all there is to it. Very, very lightweight compared to what I'm used to in the PHP world. To have this kind of a server up and running in 53 lines of code and a couple of command line instructions like npm install. That's pretty awesome. And that's it right there. I mean, there's some config stuff, but you know, we looked at what that was. You can see how that config needs to be set up if you check out the MySQL-Ssh documentation. Wow, yeah, I didn't expect to be done with it this soon. This is really, really fast and really, really lightweight. Wow, okay. That being said, then, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something, and hope to see you next time.